Okay, so as Canadians, it's important to remember the freedoms we have when voting. One of the biggest freedoms we have is to vote during the election. Being forced to vote rules out total elimination of democracy and restricts citizens to express themselves freely. Australia has implemented mandatory voting, and although there was a 94% turnout in the past election during 2013, many citizens felt upset they were pressured to vote. Those who have no opinion on voting when forced to vote could vote for the worst candidate because of lack of info.
We will get more into this in our 4 points, so we won't give out much information yet.
Great. Raylan and I are debating for compulsory voting. Compulsory voting is a system in which people are obligated to vote in elections or attend the polling stations on voting day. As you know, we have the right to vote in Canada. We believe that compulsory voting is finally pushing people to take full advantage of their democratic rights. There are people in the world that can't vote or voice their opinion, and there's a good chunk of people here that don't think they need to vote. We have the privilege, and we believe that we owe it to Canada to take advantage. Think about Canada. If we took the time to educate people on their political parties and what they stand for, and if every eligible person went out and voted, how would it look? That's what I've been.
Okay, great. Back to you guys for your 4 minutes with your 4 points.
I'll start off here. Time it actually takes to vote. Like, if you're a busy person working a couple jobs full-time, you don't have time to go out to the polling station and wait in line for a couple hours. Another thing, certain people are physically or mentally unable to vote. How are they able to go handicapped, wheelchair, go out and vote? I don't think it's probably mandatory to force them to vote, pushing them.
New citizens and immigrants, they may come over and not really have the necessary info to vote. And some people who don't want to vote are just going to spoil their ballots anyways and not count. Or they might make the wrong decision and vote for someone that doesn't need to be in power. And the money that the government would put into the laws would be incredible, and we wouldn't really need to spend that money on making people vote when it's not really necessary.
Okay.
Is your point?
Okay, so first point, voting is a way to speak your mind. When we vote, we let our voice be heard. And we're telling government and fellow citizens that we care for our country and we want what's best for us and everyone around us, and that one vote really does matter. One vote really can change everything. If you don't vote for what you believe, and the end impact can be what you didn't want. My second one is, what about our children? We want what's best for our children, and we control what happens to them in political ways, like financially, and giving them education that they deserve. Our children are the future. We have to put into thought that they will be our future someday.
Election candidates can focus their campaigns on issues and spending more time educating people rather than encouraging people to go out and vote. So instead of spending all of the money telling people, hey, like, make sure you go and vote, we could spend the time educating people. So we can't really use the fact that people won't know as an excuse, because if we're going to force people to vote, then we want people to be educated. We don't want people going out and spoiling their ballots. We don't want people just voting because they have to. Like, we want to encourage people to vote for what they believe in. We're going to educate people and make sure that they know. The results would be more accurate if everyone had to vote and the government took time to educate people properly on the parties and their platforms. The results of the election would be more accurate because everyone voiced their opinion. You wouldn't just get the results of one age, you wouldn't just get the results of one sex, you would just get results from only the people who voted, which tends to be a big problem in Canada. If you look at past elections, Conservative was in the running for 9 years, and it's because of a lot of young people didn't vote. And if you look at the Alberta election, NDP coming into power, and you look at the last federal election, Liberal coming into power, it's because young people finally went out and voiced their opinions, because we've been spending the time telling people how important it is to vote. Really, if we are getting people to vote, they're just practicing their freedoms and their democratic rights. Me personally don't see anything wrong with that.
Okay, excellent. So let's have a 1-minute break before the open debate.
You want me to stop it,
Point
right?
to educate people and to push people to vote. I don't think that's very democratic at all. How you can enforce people to vote and fine them if they don't vote because you told them to. So
We didn't necessarily say we were going to push people. Compulsory voting is making people vote. It is mandatory voting, but we're not seeing it in a way as like it's enforcing people. People should want to vote. You have the right to control your country. You have the right to voice your opinion. And we just see that as such an important thing. That's such a privilege that we have. Why wouldn't you want people? Like, look at people in your own country. Why wouldn't you want them to go out and vote? We have that right. What's wrong with exercising it?
We have the right to vote and we have the right not to vote. This is democracy. We don't have to do anything if we don't want to, right? We have the freedom of speech, we have the freedom to do anything. So if we're pushed to vote, we aren't gonna wanna vote even more than we do right now.
But that's the thing is people don't have the right to vote in other countries. People don't have the right to express their feelings and their opinions and their anything. Like lots of countries, there's still women who can't do anything. So why would you say in this country when we have the privilege, why would you say we have the freedom not to vote? Like I understand that we do, but why wouldn't you want to take advantage of the fact that we do? It just seems selfish that we have the privilege and we're not using it when people out there can't even voice their own opinion.
And also, like, wouldn't you want to see a change in your country because you helped out voting? You wanted to go out and make a change for your country. You want to see the economy get better. You want to see education for your children be partially paid for the government. You're helping out other people when you vote too. You're not just helping out yourself. Like, say your best friend's grandparents are really poor and the government's taking away their pension plans, then you can help out by your vote, by helping them. So voting really does, like even if you personally don't want to vote, you can go vote just for other people's, with their needs, not just your own needs.
I would like to consider the money that needs to be put into advertising people to go out and vote. They have to enforce it, and the advertisements on TV encouraging people to vote. I think right now is at a good point, but they would have to increase that so they could get higher for voter turnout, and that would just be way too much for the government to spend.
You don't have to increase it. We still spend money in advertising for government. The only change is the advertising won't say, hey, make sure you go vote on June 19th. The advertising is going to say, this is the Liberal Party, this is what they do. We're not going to keep things the same if we're enforcing voting. The point is, we're getting people to vote, they should be educated. People should fully be educated. We don't need to spend the money on telling people to go vote. Nothing has to change in the costs. The advertising can stay the same, they could just change what they're saying to us.
You keep saying to educate them, but what if people aren't paying attention or don't care or don't wanna listen? I mean, there's always more important things to watch or more important things to do than watch politics.
But if you're forced to vote, why wouldn't you want to learn? Why would you not want to learn? Like, okay, I have to vote. I get that people can play the side of, well, I'm forced to vote, I don't want to do it, but this is your country. Like, why would you waste your time not learning? Why would you not want to learn?
And then if people are unfortunately can't make it to the voting, they'll be punished for not voting, which I think is a little harsh.
There's pre-voting, like you have extra time. There's transportation, people still do that now and voting isn't even forced. People give transportation, there's pre-voting, they give you lots of time in advance. The highest voter turnout in Canada was in 1958, 1962, and 1963, and it was 79%. In Australia, the lowest voter turnout was 93%. You're getting much more accurate results.
Which year was that 93%?
2010, and that was their lowest.
Interesting. And
It's still not 100% though, and it's
Yeah.
still enforced.
Yeah, but that's their lowest. Our highest was 79.
Yeah, but still, if you're still enforcing it and you want 100%, you're still not getting 100%, right?
Yeah, but it's coming close.
Yeah,
That's
it's coming
my
close,
point,
but
is
it's not.
93% was their lowest.
Yeah.
From our stats in 2010, the same Australian vote, is that the alarm?
Good job.
To refer back to our key points of the debate, the time it actually takes to vote is quite a bit already. So when you mandate voting, it would increase people that have to come out to the polls, so it would take extra longer. Certain people are physically unable to vote, so it would be hard to get them out. And then new citizens and then immigrants won't have the much political knowledge, so you would have to educate them, but I don't know where that would come from. And in our closing statement, yes, there are alternatives to increasing the voter turnout while still maintaining democracy, but for Canada's sake, it's just not ready for mandatory voting.
And when you said there wasn't enough time, we also said there was pre-voting, there's lots of time for people to go vote, and there is transformation. They have handy buses for people that are disabled, and they do have wheelchair ramps and stuff like that at voting stations, so there is a chance for everybody to vote. So we are for compulsory voting, and the importance of voting is high because we get the chance to be a part of what happens to us as citizens in our country. Not all countries get the chance to vote, and in communist countries when they're not allowed to vote, and other countries that allow you to vote, I think just gives you a better insight of what's happening in our country. And we're extremely lucky country to be able to vote. We get a chance to help out in what is happening in our country, be a part of making a difference to you and for others around you. Why wouldn't you want to take advantage of your right to vote?
And isn't your country worth that 20 minutes it takes to get to the polling station?
All right, great debate, you guys.